Over the weekend, there were a couple of news stories that most people in America didn't hear about because the mainstream news media buried the stories. That's the plague in Arizona. Yes, I mean the bubonic black plague. Buried the story in the news. No one really got to see that. The Democrats didn't want to talk about it. But in addition to that, there's also another news story. You see, over the weekend, we got to hear from the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. And what she said was that there's going to be more alligator Alcatrazes throughout all of America. Full stop. Oh my. Shocking news. I know I'm saying full stop like I'm Ketanji Brown Jackson, but whatever. No, it's really important. So the Secretary of Homeland Security has just come out and said that what happened in Florida, the Alligator Alcatraz, which, of course, Democrats like Debbie Wasserman Schultz is saying, oh my God, it's a concentration camp. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not a 3 or 4-star hotel like Democrats want to put illegal aliens in and give them credit cards so they can go out and buy food and clothing and anything else they want, all paid for by the taxpayer. No, it's not a Hilton. And it also, just to be fair, it's not a prison either. It's an in-between way station. That's the Alligator Alcatraz, and it happens to be in a swamp, a pretty secure location. Democrats hate that because they want those criminals, the illegal aliens, to be treated better than American citizens. And that's why they're fighting so hard for those illegal aliens that don't vote for the Democrats, they don't donate to the Democrats, they don't belong in America. But okay, that's what they're doing right now. But Republicans and red states have been inspired by what they saw in Florida, and they want to duplicate it. Now, according to the news, as reported by Newsweek and other media, we see that there's going to be 5 of these. 5 more states are going to go out and do this. Now, Newsweek, when they reported this on Sunday, did not have any indication of which states it would be. Their reporting doesn't identify what red states have said they want to do this. And it's a red state. It's not going to be California. It's not going to be Maryland or Illinois. It's not going to happen in Washington State or Massachusetts. No, realistically, it's going to be in a red state. So which red state is it going to be? Well, even Axios, who did cover the story after Newsweek covered the story, then Axios came out and they covered the story too. Now, of course, Axios, even though they're left-leaning, they're not very credible. We know that they're having a problem. They seem to have made up a story about Putin and Russia, but let's assume that this time they're being honest. Let's assume this time they actually have real sources. And they're saying that Trump officials were deflecting from the Alligator Alcatraz by pointing fingers at Biden. That's the thing. So they're like, oh my God, there's going to be 5 alligator Alcatrazes and they're all concentration camps. And the only thing that the Trump administration, the only thing Republicans can say is, well, Biden and Obama did it. And let's be fair and honest. Obama did do it. In 2014, the ACLU was fighting against the Obama administration because they were throwing unaccompanied minors, children who had been abused, sent on a 2,000-mile trek by themselves, abandoned by their families with sex slavers and drug dealers. You know what? Those kids, Obama took them and put them in a cage. That's a fact. He built the cages that the kids were put in. The cages that, Democrats were absolutely angry. AOC had to go down to an empty parking lot in Texas and cry because, oh my God, it's so devastating. It's so terrible that Obama built the cage. Used by Trump, built by Obama. She didn't care when Obama did it. But yeah, so it's wrong for me to remember that. I know, maybe it's me. I mean, PBS was more than happy to show you a photo, which came from Ted Cruz, by the way, when Ted Cruz went down to look at the children, the unaccompanied minors that came in because of Joe Biden. And yeah, this is during the pandemic. This is the time when Democrats were telling you had to be locked in your house alone. You couldn't see your other family members. If you had a child in your house that caught the pandemic, they had to be put in a room by themselves, isolated for 7 days. Do you remember that? I do. And what did they do with the unaccompanied children, the children that were suffering from abuse, having to walk a couple thousand miles with sex slavers and drug cartels? What did he do with the tens of thousands of kids per month? He stuck them in a cage. Oh, but Democrats were okay with that. Remember, when that happened and when Ted Cruz was trying to show that to you, the American people, the Biden administration shut down the detention centers. None of the news media could be allowed in to take photos of it, and they tried to stop Senator Ted Cruz from taking any photos inside the location. Yeah, that was the Biden administration that did that. So when Axios says, oh my God, you're saying that this is better than what Obama and Biden did. Yes, it is. It is. The facilities are better, and they're not a concentration camp. And I am glad there's going to be 5 locations all across America. Now, the question is, what are we going to call them? What names can we get them? I mean, there aren't alligators in every single state. I mean, there is in Mississippi, there is in Louisiana. So, I mean, they could be Alcatraz 2, they could be Alligator Alcatraz 3, kind of like Jaws 3. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue. It's not as unique, but it would work. But how about this? So in Alaska, which is a red state, maybe we could have the Kodiak camps. What do you think of that one? And down in Utah, what about the Lion Lane? Sound okay? Lion Salt Lane? Maybe? Texas. Texas has some crazy animals. How about the Coyote Corridor? Coyote Containment? I'm not sure. Which one do you like better? But that would be Texas. I mean, I couldn't think of anything for scrubland and coyotes, but how about the Coyote Corridor? I like that one. In Montana, we can go with the Grizzly Rock Fort. That's, the Rocky Mountains, grizzly bears. It'd be the Grizzly Rock Fort. We can call it that. Kentucky. Now, Kentucky, I think I actually got a good one for Kentucky. I'm going to save that for last. Idaho. Idaho's another red state. Could be one of the places that they would create one of these alligator Alcatrazes for illegal aliens who don't belong in America and need to be deported and are criminals. Let's see. How about the Gray Wolf Pass? I mean, it's kind of generic. Gray Wolf Pass. I couldn't really think of something, what else could we put in there? The Gray Wolf Pasture? But that sounds kind of tame and, wide open. No, we want them surrounded in the woods by gray wolves in Idaho. That would hold them in place. Kind of like with the grizzlies in the Rockies. You're in the mountain. There's grizzly bears all around you. You're not going anywhere. You're in Alaska. Well, it's Alaska to start with, but also you're in the middle of the wilderness and there's Kodiak bears. You're not going anywhere. That'll work. In Texas, you're in the middle of the desert, the scrubland, and there's coyotes all over the place. You're not going anywhere. And realistically, if you do, you're probably going back to Mexico, not really that upset about it. Okay, so I don't really have a good name for Montana. Well, Montana's the Grizzly Rock Fort, so that's not too bad. But I think the best name out there, because I really couldn't think of anything for Utah. How about this? Kentucky could be one of the 5 states that are going to build their own version of an Alcatraz for illegal aliens. And we could call it the Bobcat Box. How about that? Kentucky has the Bobcat Box for illegal immigrants, illegal aliens that are in America criminally, especially those who are violent, and they're getting deported to the Sudan or maybe to El Salvador or maybe even to Antarctica. Don't care. Not our people, not our problem. What do you think? Are you happy that there's going to be more of these? And I personally believe we should have 50 of them. I said this on my Sunday live stream, season 7, episode 27. And I said, we should have 50 of these. Every single state should have a illegal immigrant detention center that is meant to be discouraging to illegal aliens. That should make them feel bad. Not a Hilton hotel. No, they shouldn't get that. They should be getting a jail cell. And they should be somewhat uncomfortable. Not like they're in a concentration camp, but they shouldn't have the comforts, the creature comforts that most Americans don't have. They should find it uncomfortable, unpleasant, and they should fear being deported to the Sudan or to El Salvador or to Antarctica. And that would mean that they don't enter America illegally. If they come in as legal migrants, they come in as legal asylum seekers. Okay, that's fair. That's what the system's there for. But if they're coming in illegally, then no, they shouldn't have a good time of it. They shouldn't feel comfortable. They should worry about, are they going to be sent where all the alligators are? They should be worried about, if they try and escape, that can they outrun a Kodiak bear? They should be worried about coyotes and gray wolves and bobcats. That's a good thing. It means don't come here illegally. We're a generous nation. We help the world on a regular basis. Come here legally, we'll take care of you. You come here illegally, then you get to go to one of the Alcatrazes out there. You get to go to the Bobcat box until we send you to wherever in the world someone will accept you, because you're not our problem and we don't want you here. But what do you think? Am I too harsh? Can you think of better names? I mean, it's tough. Trust me, it's tough to come up with these names. Can you think of a better one? I'd like to hear your suggestions. Put it down in the comments. What do you think for a red state? What would be a good name, kind of like a Alligator Alcatraz? What could you think of? I think the Bobcat box for Kentucky, I think that's the best one. But, you guys tell me. What do you think?